One. Hello, everybody. So
Oh, wrong arm.
that's
Camera mirrors everything. Hello.
it. So, if you're wondering why is the puppet and the goofball on screen, welcome to a new show. Trey, if you want to introduce.
I'm Trey and I came up with this because part of it is we usually try to watch movies, but then we get over his ADHD kicks in, so we came up with the series, so we have to watch the movie. What we do is we either find a movie I've seen or he hasn't,
Or something I've seen, and Trey has
or something neither of us has seen because I saw
Yep.
you eyeballing Rabbit Grannies.
it. Yeah. Trauma films can be fun.
Oh yeah. Well, I wish we would. That's why I wish that actual Toxic Avenger remake with Peter Dinklage gets released.
Mm.
So I might make my own Toxic Avenger puppet.
So, remind me again, what was the name of this one?
Oh,
Late Night with the Devil, I think.
Yes, Late Night with the Devil.
So,
You didn't believe me when I said it actually played in theaters.
I'm sorry, it just does not take to me as a theater thing. I'm still, as the puppeteer's hand comes.
That was a demon. The orientation is messing with me, so if I'm not looking directly at the camera, that's the camera's fault.
Hello, humans. Kitty greets everyone too. We always got to give everyone their dose of moon pie.
Oh, It's like my video I did talking about Captain America: Brave New World, where dude spent 4 minutes complaining about a mustache.
So, Late Night with the Devil, if you're interested, is a movie portraying a late night show talk show host who is trying to prove his ratings to Johnny Carter, which was Johnny Carson, which was one of the biggest names in talk shows, period, with The Tonight Show.
He basically invented it.
Yeah. And, so, it talks about how his rise in his career, his wife's just spontaneously getting cancer out of nowhere.
And his alleged involvements with, they don't say it by name, but it's pretty obvious they're referring to
Bohemian Grove, I think.
Yeah,
or at least what people think of Bohemian Grove is.
Yeah, the owl worship, occult rituals, your typical, this is what people think the entertainment industry's like.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in part, Trey wanted me to watch it because, as I'm pretty sure most people know watching this channel, I am an independent comedic pagan. So being somebody that knows a little bit about, that kind of stuff, he kind of wanted to say, get my take on it. The real person that does a lot of that is our buddy Litch, but he's, in Mississippi.
Yeah, and we're not sure if he has internet. My arm always gets tired. I don't know what part of my arm I have to work out so it stops getting tired.
But it's definitely interesting. So, this particular night, apparently, he brings on a psychic and a...
Just say James Randi.
James Randi look-alike, pretty much. It's definitely supposed to be like a stand-in knockoff Randy. And I think I'll just call him that the entire rest of the video. Knockoff Randy.
Nandy.
So at first, he brings on the psychic. It's your typical thing with the psychic.
Don't mind me, I'm stretching.
Yeah. He does some cold guessing, obvious, audience plant at first. Then he does, I guess, the questionnaire couple, the two ladies, trying to saying that he's getting them in touch with their lost son or brother.
It was, well, I guess
Technically,
there is a demon in here. I guess it was it was a mother-daughter, so it was a son and a brother.
Yeah. And then things got interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh, should I mention? When I saw this in the theater. There was another guy who saw the movie, and he left like halfway through, literally right before stuff started getting really interesting.
Mm.
Just what happens, people.
But
But I think part of that could have just been because it was more of a slow burn kind of horror, more like, ironically, a horror film from the '70s would be.
yeah. Anyway, at the end of the psychics thing, he starts getting a massive migraine, and then.
Like, it looks like his head actually swelled up.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet if you went frame by frame during the distortion, you'd probably see more, like, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the third time I've watched this movie, and there's still stuff I'm just now catching.
I mean, that happens a lot in any film, though. Anywho, but they of course cut the commercial, bring the skeptic on, and he kind of points out the cold reading and everything. But some, but somehow he manages to miss the secret pet name of the guy's passed on wife, or the talk show host's wife.
Actually, there's a scene in the movie where we actually see her before she dies. And she mouths, "I love you, Jack." And I swear if you look closely, she replies back, "I love you, Minnie." Oh, by the way, the guy's name is Jack Delroy.
Mm-hmm. So our knockoff Randy, of course, after he starts spouting all that, suddenly the psychic starts getting really fucking sick.
Yeah, I think it looked like he was getting, like, his face was sinking in over the course of the rest of the scene.
Yeah, and then he just spouts black stuff. And of course, knockoff Randy, he's trying to say, oh, it's just spewing. And I'm like,
It looks like his intestines rotted and then he spit up his organs.
pretty much, because usually, like, spouting, like, I've heard of it, but usually when somebody's doing that, especially if they're putting on a show as a fake psychic or something, it's usually like water or vegetable oil. And it's not to the extent of projectile vomiting across the room.
And on top of fluids coming out of you, that's the only thing worse than that's actually worse than if it was red.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's black, that implies there's actual, like, dead tissue in your body.
Oh, yeah. So.
But I think what happened is the medium was a fake, kind of a charlatan, but he was actually capable. Like, I've got some, like, and then when he actually was reached out by the spirit of Minnie, that was just too much. Or I think it's possible that there's a demon in this movie.
Yes.
May have been trying to interfere and overload him.
I'm pretty sure people figured out there'd be a demon. You don't have Late Night with the Devil.
Well, you don't know. Maybe the real devil was the devil we made along the way.
But.
And there are some people who thought not James Randi was actually going to be the devil the whole time because of the beard. And for the second half of the movie, he's wearing a red blazer.
Yeah, because, you get black barf spuked up on your shirt, and you're like, ugh! Which, if he really was a skeptic, wouldn't he have, bothered to try and double check what that stuff was?
Yeah, I think he would have. At the very least, that maybe not on camera, but, like, sniff it.
Probably.
That. Again, I gotta look up what to work out for this.
But basically, Psychic gets carted off out of the show, taken into an ambulance.
Where his whole body hemorrhages.
Yeah,
we forgot to say spoiler alert at the beginning.
So if you haven't seen this, lots of spoilers.
Just put it in the title. I mean, the movie came out back in March.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. And then, of course, we're introduced then to a parapsychologist and her patient.
And we find out that the patient was basically a child sacrificee who survived a cult basically committing mass unalive to keep from getting apprehended by the police. who worshipped a demon named Abraxas.
And I still swear that sounds like soap.
Yeah. And apparently is the source of the word abracadabra. So anytime you say abracadabra, you're invoking demons. That is such a satanic panic statement.
It really is. But,
I do consider this an analog horror film. Because it's meant to be lost media, and it's indicating it was actually filmed on analog, and there's actually like people credited for the analog technology in the credits. And it is basically like what an analog horror thing would look like with a bigger budget. So suck it, Skinamarink. This is how you do an analog horror film. You don't just have nothing happen for 2 hours.
You really don't like that movie.
I will show you it, and you will not last a second.
Puppet malfunctions.
Kinda. This is also why videos take so long. My arm gets tired. So I gotta figure out if it's a muscle thing or what to make it stop.
Probably more of a practice thing.
Like, hold your arm in place.
Yeah.
You saying I have fat arms? Oh. Anyway. So about when they do the first... Right before they do the actual, interview with the demon inside the girl is, I think, right before the guy who was at the movie with me left. But I think it's like I think it's part of it is that it was... I think he just didn't really get that it was meant to be slow burn horror.
Or, I mean, it is also possible, too, that, he didn't really think that they were going to actually portray a interview with the devil, which...
It's not the devil, it's Abraxas. But Interview with the Demon doesn't have the same ring to it.
Well, that, and I'm kind of trying to say that there are times that evangelical types will go to movies ignoring the title of the film entirely, mind you, and then leave halfway through because how dare they make this film? Why the frick did you buy a ticket for it then?
Reverend, why did you buy a ticket for Sausage Party?
Right?
I will be back. I am eating French fries off the floor.
Don't do that.
There's a... You see that?
Your human face poke through? Yes.
It's not my face. That was a demon. So there is. So I think we got. Did we get through the plot yet? So after the interview, James Randi tries to say that it's a hypnosis technique, and they tries to hypnotize the audience. I was smart. I closed my eyes.
A number of people are usually immune to hypnosis. First off, but yeah, after they do the interview with the demon, and like the literal girl levitates off the floor, the classic, contortions, facial features, everything changed.
Her eye color changes.
Everything about her. The knockoff Randy is like, oh, it's all hypnosis. I'm like, first off, Mr. Knockoff Randy, something that even the character actually demonstrates through the show or through the movie is you have to usually have something to hypnotize people with.
Like, you can't even use a phrase to trigger the hypnotic trance unless you've already hypnotized them.
Yeah. So, No, I get it. The idea of this is, to try and show, how crazy skeptics are and how skeptics will say that it's not real no matter what you show them. And believe me, I've seen this a couple times, having watched things like Expedition X and other stuff, because there's a zoologist I think that's on there, or a biologist on there that drives me nuts. Because he's like, oh, it could totally be this animal. I'm like, that's not native to that part of the planet.
Haven't I been that for half of our lost tapes?
Yeah.
And any ghost shows you show me?
Yeah, right.
And I'm sorry, I have trouble accepting the paranormal exists, because remember, I'm already neurotic and paranoid enough, Isaac.
What? Ghosts scare you more?
Yeah. Especially since I found out that ghosts can hurt you too. Ghosts can hurt you too. I used to think it was only demons.
I mean, no worse than most things in life.
Poor arm. Okay.
But anyway, Knockoff Randy basically holds the whole stunt. He hypnotizes the whole audience.
The implication being he hypnotized the host, the co-host, the audience, and us at home watching.
Mm-hmm. And and during which there's this big gruesome thing of like the dude is pulling out worms out of himself, and
because he's afraid of worms.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like something you'd see out of a Batman movie that was trying to be cool.
Mm-hmm. And he tries to snap his fingers at first, and it doesn't stop it, and then
It says "Dreamer now awake."
Yeah.
And that comes back later too.
Dreamer here now awake. Yeah.
Like it's his go-to if the snap doesn't work.
Right.
And there's a thing I pointed out is that you notice the girl in the movie, and if you guys want to watch this, it's on Shudder. You can have a 7-day free trial. It's only like $6.99 a month. We're not sponsored. I'm just saying if you want to check it out, it won't cost that much.
Yeah, we're not sponsored, so
we might be, but you might be.
I wish. No. I wish I could get sponsors, but no. I'm not popular.
Hip Dubby.
That's more of a partnership than anything else.
Oh, I didn't know there was a difference.
Slightly. Usually when someone actually fully sponsors you, they straight up pay you out. But we get paid commission.
Sorry, do you know sometimes your software kind of freezes in the middle of the recordings?
But we do get paid more commission than anything by these guys. Delicious, delicious Dubby. It's a great energy drink, by the way, if you're looking for something that's sugar-free, crash-free, all that stuff.
Indeed.
So don't forget to So if you want to check it out, don't forget to head to WGG.
I hope it actually is hearing half the stuff. Oh, well, I hope it's actually hearing half the stuff I'm saying.
It can.
Okay. So after the sequence, they roll back the footage, but it's not the same footage we just saw. It's literally just him using the hypnotic state and giving him prompts and acting out. But I think I wanted to wait till we were done with the plot before we got into theories, but one of the actual theories is that the little girl Lily, she was never there. It was Abraxas the whole time. And he was just kind of pretending to be her and then going back and forth between that and actually coming out for the performance. But then there's the fact that when she does bring the demon out, he's like, what's going on? Who are these people? What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the fact that, or it could just be because she's possessed, she wasn't affected by the trance. Because remember, when he was ripping his guts out, sorry, you can tell who liked that scene more. When he was ripping his guts out and there were worms coming out of him, and she's like, why is Mr. Gus acting so silly?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, she couldn't actually see the trance, is what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I do have to find it hilarious that as soon as the demon actually shows itself in full power,
After they pull back the footage of that scene, and her head literally splits open. And there's this weird idea, I guess, that that's why there are people who theorize that it may have actually been Abraxas, and that. Okay, but continue.
well, more specifically, what happens is they replay the footage earlier with the actual interview, and the girl starts having like this phasing in and out of reality. Like she starts going like analog, digital, almost like back
Like she's
film.
absorbing the electricity in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Is that EVP or am I thinking of something else? Like
Like
something.
EVP is electronic voice phenomena.
The thing that ghosts can't actually mess with the electricity. I forgot what it's called, but I think it has an E in it too.
But anyway, basically, she starts floating. Her head splits open. Beams of energy start going everywhere.
It's chaos. People are leaving the studio.
People are running. Gus tries to stop her.
That's the co-host.
Gus, the co-host, tries to stop her by saying, "The power of Jesus compels you." His head gets spun around 360 degrees.
So you have to be ordained to say that?
I mean, no, but at that point, I don't think it's gonna help.
And as I was trying to say, the psychiatrist doesn't use the parapsychologist doesn't use a cross either. She uses something, a charm that has the evil eye.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't work either. And the best part is, we were waiting for this. Is not James Randi. The minute he sees this stuff, he just starts immediately saying like satanic prayers and offering to be Satan's servant.
Literally offering to serve this thing, yes.
And like tries to give her the check, and she burns it, abracadabra, and his whole body catches fire. And here's a part where Isaac got confused, because this is also where we're gonna get into theories right after this, where Jack tries to leave the stage but all of a sudden he comes out and he's literally back on like the very first episode of his show. And there's this whole thing where it keeps cutting back between the 4:3 aspect ratio and the 16:9 aspect ratio. And he's going through the scenes.
Different episodes.
But they're off. Like they
Yeah.
have something connected to what happened. Like the Wheel of Fortune thing he was doing, when he realizes something's up and when he sees the hypnotic spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually theorize that either the actual hypnotic trance James Randi did wasn't broken, or Abraxas was able to like copy the trance,
Mm-hmm.
and that we were all seeing what Jack was seeing while under the trance.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gets to the point that he's signing the deal, and it gets to the point where he's I love the one where it's like, turn off your TV sets, and it keeps zooming in but cutting back.
Mm-hmm. Where he's trying to tell people to turn off your TV sets, turn off your TV sets. And then it just cuts to the point where he's making his actual deal with the studio.
Which is also supposed to be his deal with I think it's actually Abraxas. Like, there's this whole thing with the idea that the head of the Abraxas cult faked his own death, and that this whole thing was to trick somebody, or in this case, somebody part of the cult, into sacrificing Lily to complete the ritual to bring Abraxas into the world fully. So that's why there's even a point where my going theory was that his wife was actually trying to warn him the entire time, but Abraxas's power just kept overpowering her.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, I thought they never let you see me, because I think that really is her spirit. I don't think that was the demons fucking with him. Why did I say fuck both times? 3 times.
I don't know about that. I think maybe it was. I would think it's more along the lines of, something messing with him one last time, using something that is cherished to his memory to try and get him to do the thing that he wanted the whole time.
And the implication is he sold his soul to finally be number one, and didn't realize the catch of that was you will lose everything you love.
Yep. And in this case, met his wife. And so, literally in the ending scene, he's essentially forced to literally plunge the dagger
into his wife,
who actually ends up being the little girl.
And that's the idea that the whole thing was planned from the beginning. Like, there are people who even think that people in the costume parade, that, because you never see them out of costume, and they do show up in the scene at the end with the cult,
Mm-hmm.
that those are the surviving members of the Abraxas cult, and they were there the whole time.
Well, it also shows imagery from the Bohemian cult, too.
Yeah.
But you'll notice there's actual things as well. Kitty, being a kitty, yes.
He's playing with the chair.
Throughout the films, like the screen,
I forgot to talk.
you see like owl imagery throughout the whole thing. In part because the show itself is, called Late Night Owl.
Or the Night Owls.
The Night Owls with, Jack Delroy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there is one thing I do think we have to mention. The movie did get a little bit of heat because they have indents for the show, and they admitted that those were created using AI images. But the weird thing is, I have an amazing eye for catching stuff that's AI generated. I can always tell. So it looked off, and I go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense now."
See,
look at the hands. Look at the hands, and you'll always know.
You say that, you say this, but that just makes me want to do a video where we just sit there and go, "Can Trey tell AI or not?"
Good luck finding stuff. Hey! If you guys, we get 100. No, that's too high for us. If we get 30 likes, we'll do that. Stop playing with my arm rods. These are my bones.
I have a cat, as you guys have probably seen.
I'm thinking of getting finger surgery. I know how to do it now. Then I can finally flip you off.
Anywho. But it's definitely an interesting film.
Yeah, see, not everything I like is just weird, crazy violence.
But it's mostly weird, crazy violence.
Oh, there is one last thing. I think we both agree they should have done this. The film opens with a little mini doc about Jack Delroy and Night Owls to get you up to speed to everything before they actually show the episode and the archive behind-the-scenes footage. But then
you talked about how they should have done like a mini doc after showing what happened to him?
Yeah, because the movie just ends, and I think he thinks this is all part of the trance, is why he starts saying "Dreamer, you're awake" over and over again.
Yeah,
like he can't believe this all really happened.
Yeah, because he basically, once he impales the wife, he's back on the set, and you see Knockoff Randy, Gus, and the doctor. All of them are dead at this point.
But they don't look different. They still look like they were killed the way the demon killed them. So that means that part may have actually been real, but the lead into Jack stabbing the girl may have been like part of the hallucination. Like we were all the idea they keep going with is that we were all hypnotized. But yeah, what we were gonna say is, it feels weird there wasn't like a follow up to the mini doc that like talked about what happened to Jack Delroy, even if it was something like he went to prison. Like we want to know that, or what would be the absolute best. That was the highest ratings the show ever had, but that week, Carson still beat them by 1 point.
Right. But it's still kind of that point of just like, holy cow, Well, and when it ends, you do hear like the police sirens and stuff coming, so it's like.
And it's weird that this is a movie that kind of looks like it would be fun to watch frame by frame too, because remember they're even talking about how the guys up in editing are seeing stuff that the people on the active monitors aren't.
Yeah. But I think it definitely was an interesting movie.
Oh yeah,
but
it's one of the best ones this year. Like up there with Godzilla versus Godzilla X Kong. That sounds like a non-compliment, but believe me, it is. It's apparently, because I think it's what makes it work is it's an original concept, and again, it feels like an actual analog horror film. Because the whole point of analog horror is supposed to feel like broadcasts and things that were lost far away on the analog stuff. That's what I was trying to talk about at the beginning. Was like it feels weird that this is supposed to be lost footage that's from a TV show from the 70s. It was like put on tape, but the footage is so
crisp and clear. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that if it's on tape, you're still going to have what's known as generation loss, because VHS, beta, anything that uses magnetic tape is still going to decay because of the natural magnetic interference of the ground.
Yeah.
Like, at the very least, there's, like,
Like, it gets that very filmy texture to it.
yeah, or you start seeing things like,
Spots, and
it's kind of like, oh, there's a cat.
there is a cat, and it has been fetched. Meow.
It's kind of like, for the thumbnail for, I found a software for the the way I did the thumbnails for some of the newer TWT episodes. I think it's called NTSCQ, and it's an actual software that is able to almost perfectly mimic the look of like a VHS analog thing that has been gone through the generations.
Hi.
Don't ask why I started making all the thumbnails look like analog tapes. I just thought it would be cool.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think you were working on your own little analog horror.
Oh yeah, I got to get back on that. I was working on it. It was called the Albert Apple Archives. It was literally back when I had a job and I had money. I bought this creepy church apple puppet. And what's going on is we have all this stuff for our actors filmed. It's just I haven't had the money to get the paint to finish painting one of the backdrops so we can film all the scenes with Albert and the kids. I thought.
Speaking of which, if you guys want to help out Trey, he does have a puppet shop
On Etsy.
Although I was actually going to say maybe you should also probably think about putting it also on Amazon and eBay too.
You can sell handmade stuff on Amazon?
Yeah.
Huh. Didn't know that.
But, hey, figure to give a buddy a hand. Anywho.
And we do have, granted, these are prototypes, so they're still being worked on, but we do have a new plush toy line called the Homunculoids. They're kind of goofy looking. They're meant to be based on the homunculus. Anybody familiar with Smiling Friends has probably heard about that. By the way, I'm afraid we weren't able to include a Russian Bible to smash them with. That's a real video, too.
I think I've seen it like once, years ago.
Yeah, but that's funny to think that the book was actually the Bible.
You
created life. You killed it with faith. We stayed on topic. That's rare for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ADHD with Asperger's. You're Asperger's. But thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. Or at least I will. You might see Puppet later.